Hey, and welcome back to the Powerful Marketing Tips podcast. Today we'll discuss communication and boosting your impact based on the fourth chapter of The Greatest Marketer book.
Yeah, it's a really fantastic chapter.
It is. Have you ever, given someone what you thought was just a crystal clear instruction, only to watch them do the exact opposite?
Oh, all the time.
Right. If you have, you know how frustrating it is. So today, we are looking at why your perfectly crafted marketing message might actually be failing before it even lands and, how to fix it.
Exactly.
But by the way, quick disclaimer, I am AI generated, but all the discussion you hear today is based on actual human written concepts from The Greatest Marketer.
Yeah, we always like to make that clear up front.
For sure. And we're just incredibly excited to dig into this because this is the fourth deep dive in our series exploring this specific book. We have already discussed chapters 1, 2, and 3, so mindset, strategy, and marketing.
Which were great discussions.
They really were. If you haven't caught those yet, they are fantastic. But today is all about the actual delivery.
Right, it's like the critical final mile. Because chapter 4 really flips the script on how we typically view this whole topic.
It really does.
The mission for this deep dive is to unpack a really honestly uncomfortable truth, which is that marketing isn't just about what you say. It is entirely about what the audience actually hears.
Which sounds obvious, but it's not.
No, it's definitely not. So we are going to explore the psychology of how different people process information, and more importantly, the hidden mechanisms you can use to tailor your messaging to truly connect.
And we really need to look at this right away because, in our deep dive on chapter 2, we talked about building this flawless, data-backed marketing strategy.
Yeah, the perfect plan.
Right. But you can have the most brilliant strategy in the world, and if your communication fails at that final hurdle, absolutely nothing happens. It's just noise.
It's the equivalent of, building a state-of-the-art radio transmitter, spending millions on the hardware, but broadcasting on a frequency that no one has even tuned into. And the book illustrates this disconnect with a fascinating, very practical test called the paper tearing exercise.
Oh, I love this one. Let's bring the listener into this for a second. So picture yourself sitting in a room full of people.
Okay.
And the instructor hands everyone an identical piece of printer paper. You are given incredibly simple, standardized instructions. The instructor says, fold your paper in half, now tear off one corner.
Sounds easy enough.
Right, and they repeat this a couple of times. Everyone in that room is hearing the exact same words at the exact same time. But when the instructor asks everyone to open their papers and hold them up,
every single person has a completely different shape.
Exactly. It's wild.
It is. The visual of that room is striking, and it perfectly demonstrates what the book calls communication literacy. The fundamental takeaway is that assumptions are basically the mother of all communication breakdowns.
Yeah.
Think about the mechanism at play here. When you hear the words tear off a corner, your brain might automatically picture the top right corner.
Right, but the person next to you pictures the bottom left.
Exactly. Or someone else folds it diagonally first. Just because a message is crystal clear in your own head doesn't mean it translates cleanly into the audience's reality.
So we are essentially all walking around assuming everyone shares our exact internal dictionary.
That's the perfect way to phrase it, yeah. And in marketing or sales or even leading a team, operating on that assumption is incredibly costly.
I can imagine.
Communication literacy is the active skill of recognizing that this gap between your intent and their interpretation always exists, and then taking deliberate steps to bridge it.
I hear that, but let me challenge the premise a little bit here.
Go for it.
Before we even worry about decoding someone else's internal dictionary, what about the terror of just speaking at all?
Oh, sure.
Like the fear of public speaking or the dread of recording a video for social media. That physiological panic paralyzes people way before they start worrying about paper corners.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
That is a very real, very valid barrier. And the book tackles it head on because you can't be literate in communication if you're too terrified to communicate. Fear triggers a survival response. But the psychology here is kind of counterintuitive. The goal isn't to eliminate that fear entirely.
Wait, really? Because I feel like the holy grail for every speaker or marketer is to be completely zen, just totally relax on stage or on camera.
Yeah, that's a really common misconception.
Yeah.
The book introduces this 1 to 10 public speaking scale. 1 is sheer panic, 10 is perfectly relaxed.
Okay.
You actually do not want to be a 10. If you are a 10, you are so deeply relaxed that it usually translates to the audience as apathy.
Oh, wow. I never thought about that.
Yeah, it signals to them, I am so unbothered by this that your presence doesn't really matter to me. You actually want to aim for a 4 to 7 on that scale.
So you need that edge, like a little bit of adrenaline keeps you sharp.
It does. You take that nervous energy and you reframe it as excitement. The mindset shift here requires taking the spotlight off yourself.
Meaning?
You stop focusing on your own ego. Like, what if I stumble on my words? And you focus entirely on the audience.
Good.
What value am I bringing to these people today? When you make it an act of service, that residual fear transforms into fuel.
That's a powerful reframe. I like that. So let's say we've conquered the nerves. We're sitting at a comfortable 5 on that scale, and we've stopped making assumptions about our message.
Yeah.
The next hurdle is figuring out the timing of what we are saying. How do we know what our audience is actually ready to hear?
This is where we look at a concept from the book that is over a century old, but still incredibly relevant today.
Okay.
It's the life curve theory by an Estonian educator named Johannes Kais. This theory is foundational for understanding your audience's psychological timing.
The upside-down U-shape, right.
Exactly. He visualized the human lifespan as an upside-down U-shape.
Right, so imagine starting at the bottom left as babies. We climb the curve and peak in our physical and mental capacity around age 30 at the top.
Yep.
And then we slowly descend down the right side as we age into our senior years.
That represents the physical reality.
Yeah.
The Kais look deeper at the cognitive and emotional needs.
Oh, this is fascinating.
The theory posits that because the curve goes up and then mirrors itself coming down, there are parallel points on both sides of the U-shape where humans exhibit nearly identical psychological needs.
This was honestly my favorite insight from the chapter.
Really?
Yeah. The idea that young children between the ages of 1 and 7 and older adults between 60 and 70 share the exact same core requirements from the people communicating with them: high repetition and high tolerance. But why does that actually happen?
Well, it comes down to cognitive load. A toddler is basically building their worldview from scratch. Their brain is working overtime to process entirely new schemas about how the world works.
Right, everything is new.
Exactly. And an older adult, particularly today, is often forced to adapt to massive technological and societal shifts late in life.
Like trying to figure out a complex new digital healthcare portal.
Exactly. Both groups require tremendous patience and repetition because their brains are working hard to integrate unfamiliar systems. If your marketing or user experience doesn't account for that cognitive load, you alienate them entirely.
Wow. And if we move a little further up the curve, we find the parallel between teenagers ages 14 to 21 and midlife adults ages 40 to 50.
Yep, the turbulent years.
Seriously, it seems like both groups are basically navigating an existential crisis. I mean, the teenagers are trying to form an identity, and the midlifers are aggressively reevaluating theirs.
Absolutely.
Communicating with two groups in a state of internal rebellion sounds like a nightmare.
It certainly can be if you just talk at them. They are biologically and psychologically primed to push back against authority.
So how do you get through?
To navigate this, the book introduces a highly actionable framework, plus minus plus or plus minus plus feedback principle.
Which sounds a bit like the classic corporate compliment sandwich, to be honest. But there's a deeper psychological mechanism at play here, right?
Are deeper. A compliment sandwich is often, insincere. The plus minus plus principle is about bypassing the amygdala's defense mechanism.
Okay, break that down.
You start with a genuine affirmation, the first plus. You validate their capability, showing you see their core value. Then you deliver the critique or the challenging message, the minus.
The hard part.
Right. But the crucial part is that the minus must be entirely free of judgment. It has to be purely objective. Finally, you close with the second plus, an affirmation of your absolute faith in their potential.
Let me try to put that into practice.
Go for it.
So instead of just criticizing a campaign, you'd say something like, your creativity on this project has been incredible. Now, looking at the data, this specific campaign missed the ROI targets by 15%. But given your track record, I know you have the strategic vision to crack this on the next iteration.
That is a textbook execution.
Really?
Yeah. For a teenager or a midlife adult grappling with their identity, that specific structure separates their worth from their performance. It makes them feel seen and respected rather than attacked, which keeps the lines of communication wide open.
Okay, so age and life stage clearly dictate cognitive readiness. But if age is the only factor, why do two 40-year-olds like one who was 40 back in 1995 and one who is 40 today react completely differently to the exact same marketing pitch?
Because you have to layer on the context of the era they grew up in.
Ah, right.
This is the generational filter. The life curve tells you where they are biologically, but the generational filter tells you how their worldview was constructed.
It makes sense.
The book breaks this down to show how historical events shape consumer behavior. Let's look at baby boomers, for example. They grew up in a post-war era where institutional trust was relatively high.
Handshakes mattered. Face-to-face trust was everything.
Precisely. They value phone calls, personal relationships, and they want comprehensive, detailed information before making a decision because they view purchases as long-term commitments.
Okay.
Then contrast that with Generation X.
The latchkey kids. The generation that grew up with dual-income households and early economic shifts.
Exactly. And because of that upbringing, Gen X was forced to become highly pragmatic and self-reliant. They are deeply cynical about corporate fluff.
No tolerance for BS.
Zero.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
want efficiency. If you are marketing to Gen X, you lead with a clear ROI and a no-nonsense direct email. You do not waste their time.
Got it. And then we hit millennials.
Right.
They came of age during the explosive rise of the internet, but also lived through 9/11 and the 2008 financial crash. So corporate loyalty kind of went out the window for them, and they started seeking purpose.
That's spot on.
They want authenticity from brands, and they process information rapidly through visual, story-driven content.
Which brings us to Generation Z. True digital natives whose brains have been trained by algorithms.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Their tolerance for friction is practically zero. They demand extreme transparency from brands. They want fast, engaging video content, and they heavily prefer self-service options.
Meaning they don't want to talk to anyone.
They do not want to call a sales rep. They want to figure it out themselves on their own terms.
Well, let me play devil's advocate for a second.
Sure.
If I'm a B2B marketer and my company sells highly technical, complex enterprise software, are we saying I have to choreograph a TikTok dance to reach a Gen Z procurement officer?
I mean,
That feels like we're stereotyping to the point of losing professionalism.
it's a very common concern and honestly a trap many brands fall into. You do not abandon your professionalism or the depth of your product.
Okay, good.
What you must adapt is the channel and the length of the initial hook.
Yeah.
If you email a Gen Z buyer a dense 40-page PDF cold, it's going straight to the trash.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But if you send them a crisp 60-second video that visually breaks down the exact problem your software solves,
Okay.
and then provide a link to the white paper for the deep dive, you win.
Ah,
You are adapting the delivery method to respect their generational filter.
that bridges the gap perfectly. You hook them in their preferred language, but you still deliver the substance.
And the book offers a vital caveat here to anchor all of this. While the channels and the formatting preferences shift wildly across generations, universal human needs do not.
So we all still want the same core things.
Exactly. Whether your buyer is a boomer or Gen Z, every single customer requires respect, honesty, and the feeling of being genuinely seen. The generational filter simply dictates how you deliver that respect.
That makes a lot of sense. So we've looked at the macro level with a life curve, and we've zoomed in a bit with the generational filter.
Yep.
But let's zoom in all the way to the individual, because you could have two Gen Z buyers sitting side by side, same age, same era, and they still clash constantly. What is the missing variable there?
The missing variable is individual behavioral style. To explain this, the book uses a brilliant analogy from networking expert Nathan Manzanka.
Oh, the cat analogy.
Yes, he says, if you stroke a cat's fur the wrong way, it lashes out. Humans are the exact same.
It's a great visual, but what is the actual mechanism there? Why do we, lash out when a sales pitch feels off?
Well, when you communicate with someone in a way that directly conflicts with their natural behavioral style, when you pet the cat backward, you are actually triggering a mild physiological fight or flight response.
Really? Just from a sales pitch?
Yeah. The brain perceives a severe communication mismatch as a threat or an aggressive act. They will instinctively resist, pull away, or get defensive, and they might not even know why.
Wow. So how do we figure out which way the fur goes?
The book utilizes the DISC personality model to map this out. DISC categorizes behaviors into 4 main colors, each requiring a completely different communication approach.
Okay.
We start with red, which stands for dominance.
These are the power players, the people who walk into a room and want to get straight to the bottom line.
Yes, reds are direct, fast-paced, and intensely results-driven. If you are marketing to a red, your message must be brief.
No fluff.
Exactly. They want action-oriented calls to action and a laser focus on the end result. Like, here's what it does, here's how much time it saves, sign here.
Then you have yellow, which stands for influence. I read this section and felt completely seen.
Oh, you're definitely yellow.
Right. Yellows are enthusiastic, optimistic, and highly relationship-focused.
To sell to a yellow, you have to bring the energy. You lean into storytelling, high-energy visuals, and you focus the conversation on how the product or service is going to make their life more enjoyable or how it will elevate their social standing within their team.
We are definitely suckers for a good narrative.
For sure. Next is green, representing steadiness. Greens are calm, incredibly loyal, and deeply focused on stability in their team.
And from what I gather in the book, high-pressure tactics are basically kryptonite to a green.
It destroys trust instantaneously. To pet a green the right way, you have to play the long game. You sell through building trust over time.
Okay.
You provide step-by-step guidance. You offer solid guarantees to mitigate their risk, and you consistently emphasize how your solution supports the people around them.
And finally, we have blue for conscientiousness, the data lovers.
Blues are analytical, precise, and systematic. Your marketing to a blue must be stripped of hyperbole.
So no big emotional promises.
None. You need hard data, verifiable case studies, and above all, you must give them time to process. If you pressure a blue for an immediate decision on a call, they will hang up. They need space to run their own analysis.
Okay, let's run a real-world scenario.
Let's do it.
Let's say I am my natural, fast-talking, high-energy yellow self, and I'm sitting across the table from a highly analytical, quiet blue prospect. My instinct, when I feel the energy in the room dipping, is to just be more enthusiastic to win them over.
And that instinct will cost you the deal every single time.
Ouch.
It's true. You are petting the cat backward. The book offers very practical advice for bridging this gap. You have to practice mirroring.
Mirroring.
Yes. As a yellow, you must consciously slow down your pace of speech. You need to lower your volume slightly. And most importantly, you have to trade your adjectives for data points. You prioritize facts over emotion.
It almost feels like you have to suppress who you are.
It's not suppression, it's translation. You are still you, and the value of your product is still the same. But you are choosing to translate that value into a language the blue prospect can actually process without feeling overwhelmed.
That makes sense.
You give them the spreadsheets they need to feel safe rather than relying on your natural charm.
That takes a remarkable amount of self-awareness. And I think that brings us to the final, most practical application of all this. All of these frameworks, the life curve, generations, DISC profiles, they are fantastic for structuring a marketing campaign.
Absolute.
But how does this play out when you're just, standing there holding a lukewarm coffee at a networking event, trying to talk to a stranger?
It all comes down to intent. The book makes a definitive statement about networking. The absolute best time to build relationships is before you actually need them.
A lot of people treat networking like hunting. You grab your spear, you go out, and you look for a quick meal today. Very transactional. But real networking is more like farming, right? Like compounding interest in a social bank account. You have to make deposits for a long time before you ever ask for a withdrawal.
That is a fantastic way to look at it. The ultimate networkers operate with a giving attitude. They never lead with their elevator pitch. They lead by asking, "How can I help you?"
Which instantly lowers the temperature in the room. I mean, think about the last time you were at a networking event. Your guard was probably up, right? You were just waiting to be pitched.
Constantly.
Hearing, "How can I help you?" is completely disarming.
It builds immediate trust. But to truly compound that interest, you have to get past the superficial small talk.
Right.
Chatting about the weather or the traffic doesn't build strong roots. To solve that, the book introduces the GAINSx model.
GAINSx.
Yes. It is essentially a framework for having deeply meaningful conversations without sounding like you're conducting an interrogation.
Let's walk through how to actually use this organically.
Okay, so G stands for goals. Instead of asking what they do, ask what they are actively trying to achieve right now. Like, what's taking up your mental bandwidth lately?
Oh, I like that.
A is for achievements. People love talking about their wins. Try asking, what's been your biggest win this quarter?
And I is for interests. Right.
Exactly. Finding common ground outside of the office walls.
Then N is for networks. Finding out who they know, or better yet, who they are trying to get in front of so you can make an introduction.
Which is huge for building trust.
And S is for skills, asking them what their superpower is.
And finally, the X factor. This is the deepest level of connection. The X factor is their core motivation, the why behind what they do.
When you ask someone about their why, you are effectively skipping 3 years of standard small talk. You are connecting human to human immediately.
Exactly.
And if you are actively listening, layering the DISC model on top of this, noticing if they answer like a results-driven red or a team-focused green, you are communicating at an absolute masterclass level.
You are applying communication literacy in real time. You are proving that you don't just want to speak, you want to understand.
So bringing all of these threads together, boosting your impact requires us to completely ditch our assumptions.
Yep.
It requires us to honor where someone sits on the life curve, to respect the historical context of their generational filter, to adapt our delivery to match their DIC personality, and to network by digging the well long before we are thirsty, using tools like GAINSx.
We've spent this entire deep dive discussing how to adapt the words you say to ensure they align with what others are prepared to hear. We've focused on timing, on phrasing, on active listening.
Right.
But I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over as you go about your day. What is your brand's silent body language communicating when you aren't saying anything at all?
Oh, that's interesting.
When a customer looks at the design of your website, or experiences the speed of your checkout process, or waits for a customer service reply, what hit or message is landing in their mind before you even open your mouth?
Oh, that is a brilliant question to end on, because communication truly never stops, does it?
Ever.
Well, if you would like to explore these ideas in more depth, then go get The Greatest Marketer on Amazon. You can learn more about the book on thegreatestmarketer.com. Thanks for listening, and until next time, when we'll discuss Chapter 5, the final chapter of the book, which is about leadership.